Have you ever noticed that the more you try to defend yourself, the more people twist your words? How fighting for truth, respect, or justice only makes you look desperate while the real offenders walk away untouched. But what if I told you that the moment you stop explaining, stop chasing, and stop reacting, karma starts doing the work for you? It's like a snake biting its own tail. The more it struggles, the deeper the wound. But when it stops fighting, nature takes over, and healing begins. Or think of an echo in the mountains. What you send out eventually comes right back. That's how karma works. The lies they spread, the harm they cause, it all returns to them in time. Because while they're busy provoking, deceiving, and manipulating, you have a choice. Fall into their trap or step back and watch as karma writes the final chapter. And when you choose silence, that's when the weight of their actions finally falls back on them. That's when their own energy turns against them. The power of silence is often underestimated, but it forces people to face their own actions without your interference. When you detach, you let karma take control. And that's when the real shift happens. So when do you step back and let karma handle what words never could? Stay with me, because the last one will shift your entire perspective. Like, subscribe, and comment. Let's get started. Number 1. When someone lies about you. Let's talk about one of the most frustrating situations. When someone spreads lies about you, it's tempting to fight back, to clear your name, to make sure everyone knows the truth. But here's the harsh reality. Defending yourself against lies often fuels more drama. The more you react, the more energy you give to the lie. The more you try to explain, the more people start questioning, even if they had no doubts before. Here's the truth. Some people don't care about what's real. They care about the reaction. The person lying about you isn't looking for the truth. They're looking for control. They want you rattled. They want you emotional. They want you caught in a battle where your every move becomes proof that the lie has weight. If you engage, you're playing their game. This is where Stoic wisdom comes in. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." This is the standard you must hold yourself to. Others may lie, others may deceive, but their actions do not define you. Your response does. Instead of wasting your breath defending yourself against falsehoods, let time and truth reveal everything. Because here's what people forget. Lies have an expiration date, but truth is timeless. Let me share a story. A man I know, let's call him James, was accused of something at work that he never did. Rumors spread, people whispered, and some co-workers distanced themselves. His first instinct was to go around explaining to everyone to make them believe him. Instead, he chose silence. He kept doing his work, stayed professional, and let his actions speak. Weeks later, the truth surfaced. The person who had spread the rumors had a history of manipulation. James didn't have to prove anything. The truth revealed itself. Because he never engaged in the drama, his reputation remained intact. So how do you handle this? First, trust in the long game. Lies may spread quickly, but truth lasts longer. Second, focus on your integrity. If you know who you are, the opinions of those who believe lies don't matter. Finally, let karma do its job. People who lie about others eventually expose themselves through their own patterns. You don't need to chase them down. Life will handle it. At the end of the day, your silence is not weakness. It is control. When someone lies about you, don't lower yourself to their level. Stay grounded, stay patient, and remember, the truth always comes out. And like, comment, and subscribe. Number 2. When someone betrays your trust. Let's talk about one of the hardest lessons in life, dealing with betrayal. Whether it's a friend who turns their back on you, a partner who breaks your trust, or someone you believed in who lets you down, betrayal stings in a way few things do. The first instinct, confrontation. You want to demand answers, seek an apology, or make them understand the damage they've caused. But here's the truth. Words won't change a betrayer's nature. If someone was willing to betray you once, chances are they've justified it in their own mind. They've convinced themselves that their actions were necessary, excusable, or even your fault. No amount of reasoning will change that. If you try to explain, they'll twist your words. If you try to make them feel guilty, they'll find a way to make you the villain. That's why walking away in silence is the loudest response. This is where Stoic wisdom comes in. Seneca once said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." In other words, betrayal is painful, but it's also a test. It forces you to grow, to strengthen your boundaries, and to recognize who truly deserves a place in your life. The pain you feel isn't just suffering, it's a lesson in self-respect, in detachment, and in letting go of those who were never meant to stay. Let me share a story. A woman I know, let's call her Sarah, had a best friend for over 10 years. They shared everything. Secrets, struggles, victories. But one day Sarah found out that this friend had been speaking behind her back, revealing private conversations and even sabotaging her opportunities. At first she was furious. She wanted to confront her, to make her see what she had done, but instead she chose silence. She didn't argue, she didn't seek revenge. She simply walked away. No explanations, no second chances. And you know what happened? The friend felt the silence. She expected a fight, a dramatic scene, but instead she got indifference. And that silence, it spoke volumes. So, how do you handle betrayal? First, accept that some people will never be who you thought they were. The pain comes from expectation. Let it go. Second, do not waste your breath explaining their wrongdoing to them. They already know, even if they won't admit it. And finally, walk away with dignity. Your silence isn't weakness, it's strength. Like, comment, and subscribe. Number 3. When someone uses you, one of the hardest truths to accept is that not everyone in your life is there because they genuinely care. Some people are only around for what they can take from you. Your time, your energy, your kindness. They show up when they need something and disappear when you need them. It's painful to realize that someone you valued only saw you as a convenience. At first, you might try to justify their behavior. Maybe they're just busy. Maybe they don't realize they're taking advantage of you. But deep down, you know the truth. If someone only remembers you when they need something, they were never truly there for you in the first place. The moment you stop being useful to them, they'll move on to the next person who can give them what they want. This is where self-respect comes in. The more you allow yourself to be used, the more people will take advantage of you. Setting boundaries isn't selfish, it's necessary. When you stop overgiving, you see who actually values you for who you are, not just for what you can do for them. Don't waste time on people who only take and never give back. Let me share a story. A man I know, let's call him Daniel, was always the one helping his friends. Whenever someone needed money, a ride, or emotional support, he was there. But when Daniel went through a tough time, no one checked on him. He realized that his so-called friends weren't friends at all. They were just using him. So he made a decision. He stopped chasing one-sided relationships. He started saying no. And the result? People who only wanted to use him disappeared. The ones who truly cared stayed. So, how do you handle this? First, recognize the signs. If someone is only around when they need something, they are not a real friend. Second, don't be afraid to say no. You don't owe anyone unlimited access to your kindness. And finally, value yourself enough to walk away from people who don't appreciate you, because at the end of the day, the right people will respect your boundaries. And like, comment, and subscribe. Number 4. When someone tries to bring you down, there will always be people who try to bring you down, not because you've done anything wrong, but because your growth threatens them. Maybe it's your confidence, your success, or simply your ability to rise above negativity. Some people can't stand to see others do better than them, so they resort to criticism, gossip, or passive-aggressive behavior to make you doubt yourself. The mistake most people make, trying to prove their worth to those who don't want to see it. You argue, defend yourself, and try to make them understand that you're not what they say you are. But the truth is, no amount of explaining will change their mindset. They don't want to believe in you, they want to break you. And the more you react, the more power you give them. This is where emotional control becomes your greatest weapon. Instead of fighting their negativity with words, respond with action. Keep growing, keep succeeding, and let your results speak for themselves. The moment you stop reacting, they lose control over you. Your silence is stronger than their words. Let me share a story. A woman I know, let's call her Maya, worked hard to build a career she loved. But the more successful she became, the more negativity she faced. People doubted her, made rude comments, and even spread lies about her. At first, she tried to defend herself, but then she realized something. Her success made them uncomfortable. Instead of fighting back, she focused on her goals, and soon, the negativity faded. Why? Because when you stop giving people a reaction, they eventually move on. So how do you deal with people who try to bring you down? First, understand that their negativity is about them, not you. Second, don't waste time explaining yourself to those who are committed to misunderstanding you. And finally, keep moving forward no matter what they say, because at the end of the day, the best revenge is proving them wrong without saying a single word. And like, comment, and subscribe. Number 5. When they ignore your worth. Let's talk about one of the most painful but important lessons in life, being undervalued. Whether it's in relationships, friendships, or even at work, there comes a moment when you realize that someone isn't seeing your worth. You give, you support, you show up, but instead of appreciation you get indifference. Instead of respect you get taken for granted, and the natural instinct to fight for their recognition, to prove your value. But here's the truth. Begging for recognition lowers your value. The more you chase, the less they respect you. People don't appreciate what's always available. They don't value what they believe they'll never lose. And that's why silence is your greatest weapon. When you stop proving, stop chasing, and stop trying to make them see your worth, something shifts. Suddenly, they feel the absence of what they took for granted. Silence forces them to see what they lost. This is where Stoic wisdom comes in. Seneca once said, "Time discovers truth," and that's exactly what happens when you walk away with dignity. The truth reveals itself, not through words, not through arguments, but through absence. The people who truly valued you will notice. The ones who didn't, they were never meant to stay. Let me share a story. A man I know, let's call him Jake, was always the one making efforts in his relationships. Whether it was with friends or co-workers, he was the person who checked in, who showed up, who made people feel valued. But over time he noticed something. The effort was one-sided. If he didn't reach out, days, even weeks would pass without a word. If he didn't initiate, no one did. And that's when it hit him. He wasn't being valued, he was just convenient. So Jake made a choice. He stopped chasing. No dramatic exits, no angry speeches, just silence. And you know what happened? People who truly cared reached out. The ones who only saw him as an option, they disappeared. And that was his answer. So, how do you handle being undervalued? First, stop explaining your worth. Your value doesn't decrease just because someone refuses to see it. Second, step back and observe. The right people won't need reminders to appreciate you. And finally, let time do the work. When you walk away with silence, you give others the opportunity to realize what they lost. At the end of the day, you don't need to prove yourself to anyone. If someone can't see your worth while you're there, let them experience your absence. Because sometimes, the only way people learn to value you is when they no longer have access to you. And like, comment, and subscribe. Number 6. When they try to provoke you. Let's talk about one of the most powerful forms of self-control. not reacting when someone tries to provoke you. There will always be people who the DV on conflict. They poke, they prod, they say things just to get under your skin, and the moment you react, whether it's anger, frustration, or defense, you've given them exactly what they wanted: control over your emotions. Here's the truth. People who seek conflict aren't looking for resolution. They're looking for a reaction. They want to see you flustered, upset, or out of character. They feed off your emotional energy because it gives them a sense of power. But when you refuse to engage, when you stay calm, collected, and indifferent, that is the ultimate power move. This is where Stoic wisdom comes in. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. You can't control how others behave. You can't stop people from trying to provoke you, but you can control whether or not you let them affect your state of mind. And when you master that, you become untouchable." Let me share a story. A guy I know, let's call him Adam, had a co-worker who loved stirring up drama. Every meeting, every interaction, this co-worker would throw out little jabs, trying to get a rise out of Adam. At first, Adam would defend himself, argue back, and try to explain. But over time he realized something. No matter what he said, it only made things worse. So one day he tried something different. The next time his co-worker threw a jab, Adam simply smiled, gave a calm nod, and moved on, like it didn't matter. And guess what? The co-worker hated it. He kept trying, but without the reaction he wanted. He eventually lost interest. So how do you handle people who try to provoke you? First, recognize their game. If someone consistently tries to get under your skin, it's not an accident, it's a pattern. Second, stay calm and detached. Your silence and indifference will frustrate them far more than any argument ever could. And finally, remember that true strength isn't in reacting, it's in controlling your own mind. At the end of the day, the strongest person in the room isn't the one who yells the loudest. It's the one who refuses to be controlled by anyone else's negativity. When you ignore those who seek to provoke you, you deny them the satisfaction they crave, and that right there is real power. Number 7. When they regret losing you. Let's talk about one of the most powerful lessons in life: walking away and letting someone feel the weight of their own choices. When someone mistreats you, takes you for granted, or fails to appreciate you, there comes a moment when they realize what they've lost. But by then, it's already too late. Here's the truth. If someone truly valued you, they wouldn't have put themselves in a position to lose you in the first place. People don't always recognize your worth when you're there, when you're available, when your presence is consistent. But the moment you're gone, the silence becomes deafening. That's when regret sinks in. That's when they start replaying every mistake, every moment they could have done better. And this is why silence is the best response. You don't need to argue, explain, or remind them of what they lost. Let them sit with the consequences. Let them feel the absence of what they once had but failed to appreciate. Because when you truly walk away, with no words, no second chances, no maybe later energy, your absence does all the talking. This is where Stoic wisdom comes in. Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." That means true strength isn't about controlling others, it's about controlling yourself. It's about having the discipline to walk away from those who didn't value you, and the wisdom to never look back. Because real power isn't in chasing, it's in knowing when to stop giving your energy to people who never deserved it. Let me share a story. A woman I know, let's call her Olivia, was in a long-term relationship where she constantly felt unappreciated. She gave everything: her time, her love, her support. Her partner, he took it all for granted. He assumed she'd always be there, until one day, she wasn't. Olivia didn't yell, didn't beg, didn't threaten. She simply left. No dramatic exit, no long explanations, just silence. At first, her partner thought she was bluffing, but then weeks turned into months, and he realized she was really gone. By the time he reached out, full of apologies and regret, Olivia had already moved on, and that's when he truly felt the loss. So how do you handle someone who regrets losing you? First, don't give them an easy way back. If they only appreciate you after you're gone, they never truly valued you. Second, don't explain your absence. Let them wonder. And finally, remember that real self-respect is knowing when to walk away and actually staying gone. At the end of the day, the best lesson you can teach someone is that once you're gone, you're gone. If someone regrets losing you, let them. Their regret is not your responsibility. Their lesson is not your burden. Walk away, stay silent, and let karma do the rest. Like and subscribe.